Hello and welcome to Odds on Champions League semi-final second leg. This week we will know the teams that will play the final at Wembley. It's going to be PSG, Dortmund, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich. Well, Alvaro and Dani, they don't know what is going to happen, but they have the keys to analyze this game, perhaps to make some money with the bookies. So guys, remember, of course, tell us your comments. Are you enjoying the Champions League? Are you backing PSG, Dortmund, perhaps Bayern, Real Madrid? Tell me in the comments, and of course press the like and subscribe. Let's go on now with the show. On Tuesday, Parc des Princes, PSG, Borussia Dortmund. Remember, the German team won 1-0 last week. Fulkrug scored the winner. We didn't see a lot of Mbappe, but he hit the post. He gave a good assist, and this was in a game where he didn't play that much, so perhaps he has a lot of impact in this game. As you can see now in the screen, we have the odds for the outright market. The bookies are so confident that PSG are going to win this game. These teams already met 3 times this season, 1 win for each team and 1 draw. So, Dani, in my opinion, the first impression is that these odds are too low to back PSG.
They are too low because the game at the Signal Iduna Park was much more level than you would expect. We would have expected. We probably got it both wrong. I thought PSG were going to show more composure, more assurance. They're going to be more dominant, but it wasn't. And to be fair, that was very weird. There was just 1 goal in that game. I think it should have been an over 2.5 goals. There were chances at both ends. Kobel has been magnificent. PSG were unlucky. But Borussia Dortmund showed that they got a great spirit and they know how to manage the game. They knew that at some point Paris Saint-Germain defensive line would have pushed it a little bit too high, so the ball in behind was a good option. They had a player like Adeyemi running on the flanks and giving a torrid time to his counterparts. And of course, they had a magnificent Jadon Sancho who completed 12 take-ons on that game. Is a record in a semi-final since Messi in 2008. So everything fell into pieces for Borussia Dortmund. The big question is, can they repeat it now? Can they do it again week in and week out? I think the game confirmed what we said in the previous video, is that none of these 4 teams in the semi-final have a great defense. So goals should be on the card for this one as well, as in the game in Madrid. But, you know, at the stage of the season, the form goes out the window. You can look at PSG and say, well, they only lost 1 game in the previous 31, which was against Dortmund. It doesn't count anymore, because if they lose another one, then they're out of the Champions League. Dortmund have been okay in the league, but not amazing. But then again, doesn't count anymore. One thing has to be said, and I think it's very important, and I think it will play a part on this game, is the fact that in France there was a full week rest. Non-team have played, and this is not because of a decision to allow and to help the French teams to prepare better. It's because it's a day when they commemorate the victims of the Stade Armand Cesari in 1992, when Bastia faced Olympique Marseille. 18 people were killed on the terraces. So a similar incident to the one of Hillsborough in England, although, of course, with smaller proportions. But that's why they don't play on the 5th of May. It is an advantage for me, for PSG, and it is an advantage for Olympique Marseille going to the game against Atalanta. They should be fresher, they should be more fired up, although, of course, Borussia Dortmund made 10 changes at the weekend and beat comfortably Augsburg 5-1. Borussia never won and never scored against PSG in 3 away games. In September, they lost 2-0, only had 1 shot on target. For me, PSG all the way. Not because of the rest, but because of the bigger quality. The value is on the Asian handicap -1, 186. So it's a win for PSG with at least 2 goals margin.
So they will qualify to the final with this result. Dortmund been surprising lately, Joel is telling us, but There is this big question mark also of the away form in Europe, Alvaro. We saw Dortmund suffering a lot at the Metropolitano. They conceded 2. They could have conceded even 3, 4. At the end, they got the goal that allowed them to qualify to the semifinals. Also, they suffered in Eindhoven. Both games were in the first leg. They played away. Now is a different situation for Dortmund. I guess they have to go for a goal. I don't see them defending that deep this advantage. Or how do you see, Alvaro?
The thing is that since the away goal rule was scrapped, the approach of many sides have changed. Look, it's a silly example, right? But we'll do a show on the Conference League later, and Aston Villa can do with a 2-2 against Olympiacos. In the past, it would have been 3-3, and what they needed, a 3-0. And here, I think that Dortmund doesn't need a goal that desperately. They better just defend well. But anyway, I take what you say. My tip is going to be the same one as Daniele's. Ace and handicap -1 for Paris Saint-Germain. In my case, I found one for 175. Daniele has found one for 186. The money goes in that region, more or less 180. So I think that is good enough. One thing that we have to say about Dortmund is that for many years, pretty much for 15 years, we have considered them rather a young side. And, the young side right now is Paris Saint-Germain. Dortmund had 4 or 5 players over 30 playing the other day against Paris Saint-Germain. Paris didn't have any player who was even 29. So, there is a slight difference in there. I think that is younger, Paris Saint-Germain, but still, I believe that they are going to win. They hit the woodwork twice against Dortmund. In the Champions League, they have hit the woodwork 10 times, which is a record. Then, of course, they have their moments. Sometimes they get broken a little bit because Luis Enrique has sacrificed Ugarte, a proper holding midfielder, to play with a dynamic midfield trio. With Fabian, with Vitinha, and with Emery, and that means that sometimes they don't have a holding midfielder. Then I really want to see if Mbappé plays on the left, because for me it's a massive mistake by Luis Enrique to play with Mbappé as a number 9. The other day, Kolo Muani, who is a number 9, was playing as a was playing on the left, whereas Kylian Mbappé was playing kind of cage as a number 9, and that is not his position. I think that Luis Enrique has to change that. Mbappé has to be on the left, because otherwise he disappears from the game. Lucas Hernandez won't be there, because he picked an injury until the next season. And my only doubt for this game is whether Luis Enrique's inclination to control the game may affect them at some point. For instance, imagine that they really need a goal in the second half because they are running out of time, and the players are too worried of their tactical obligations. You may remember, Edu, for example, Spain playing against Morocco in the World Cup 2022, when the players were too worried. You remember? They were too worried of the tactics, and they didn't go for it when they should have, because I think that Spain, all in all, they had a chance against Morocco in the last 16 of the World Cup. But I think that Dortmund have been very good in the Champions League, much better than in the Bundesliga. Jadon Sancho is back there. His game, and his take-ons resemble Messi's in 2008, even though Messi's game against Manchester United in 2008 was way better than Sancho's the other day, and yet Barcelona lost that game and Dortmund won this one. But still, I'm going to go for an ace and handicap -1 for Paris. I'm not going to go for the individual market for Mbappé, only for one reason, because he doesn't pay enough. Mbappé to score, it pays 150, 155 only. I think that it's not enough, because when you go to an individual player, an injury can happen, something like that. So I tend to take individual markets when they are over 175.
I'm checking right now, actually, in Bet365, and it's 1.72 only. Mbappé to score at any moment, and then we have Gonzalo Ramos, surprisingly, even it pays more. Kolo Muani to score a goal, or even more, I think if you're looking for the individual market, Ousmane Dembélé is 3.4 to score a goal, even if he missed a big chance, as Joel is telling us. in the first leg. So you don't expect a similar pattern, for instance, like in the game with Barcelona, because PSG look fragile in the game against Barcelona this season. In the Champions League, they drew at home against Newcastle, that really controversial game with the penalty in the last minute for a handball, and the defeat against Barcelona. Again, they look fragile in defense.
Look, just very quickly, I think that you hurt them very easily. That's the problem with Paris, because they come out on the game, they dominate, they populate your final third, they have the possession, they don't have as many chances as they should for the amount of control they have, but then on the break, you can hurt them. And Dortmund is the kind of team that not only on the break, but sometimes in phases of the game, they are capable of creating like 3 chances out of nowhere in 5 minutes, and that is like normally like a really, really strong warning that they are very dangerous. But still, I think the Paris Saint-Germain are going to dominate, and finally the good players, and hopefully Mbappé, just for entertainment reasons, will step up. But as I said before, Mbappé has to be taken out from the number 9 position, because over there he is nowhere near as good as he is as playing as a left winger.
And Vitinha could be also a very important name that no one talks about him in this PSG star, but Dani, perhaps he's been one of the best players, if not the best, after Mbappé in this PSG squad.
Yes, because he combines the attacking phase with the defending phase so well. He's a box-to-box midfield, and he's got so much quality in the final third. Really, really, really important. Yeah, I do believe Mbappé is better on the left, of course, sometimes, and the number 9. He gets clogged up. There's too much traffic. Although against Dortmund, he had 52 touches, 3 shots on goal, hit the post. So, his number were there, but I do believe, yes, the value is not in him to score. Look, for Borussia Dortmund, as I said at the beginning, they need to do a perfect game and win every single duel again. Madsen against Hakimi. I think Madsen was on top. Scholterbeck and Hummels were superb. Adeyemi, perfect to play on the counter. Füllkrug had a great game. Can they do it again? I'm expecting an assault from PSG. They'll be fresher. They'll be fired up. They always score at home. PSG in the Champions League only failed to score twice against Bayern in 2023 and 2021. In the last 38 games, they scored 93 goals in this proceedings. So that should be really a big warning for a Borussia Dortmund side that has lost 3 times away, 2 in the Bundesliga. But they won against Milan and Newcastle, teams that attacked them from the start. So are very set up to play on the counter. Only 1 clean sheet, though, for Borussia Dortmund in 5 Champions League games. Some of their defending at the Metropolitano was really questionable. My second tip, over 3 goals, 183.
They were really poor, especially in the first half at the Metropolitano. Dani is highlighting the over or under market. As you can see, it pays very little. The over 3 goals. If you expect a cagey one, perhaps Dortmund parking the bus, trying to counter-attack with the speed of Adeyemi and PSG having the control of the game, is 2.67. The under, really high odds, and in the first leg we saw an under despite the chances. Well, you both see PSG in the final. Any other tip, any other comment about this PSG Dortmund?
Look, if Mbappé to score is 170, the one I found, it was lower than that. If Mbappé to score is 170 or higher, you can definitely ponder that. You can also do some in-game betting as well. But yeah, Mbappé to score 170, 175, depending on where he plays again. If he plays outside of the area, not as a number 9, I think his chances of scoring will be enhanced.
You have here Alvaro's tip, PSG to win, Mbappé to score. Someone was mentioning it, should be around 2.5, more or less. Dembele, Genep is telling us Dembele in the 10 position was not a good idea.
Yeah, but what if he scores? The thing is that sometimes our analysis gets too driven by the final outcome, and it's logical, it's normal. But Dembele the other day had a terrific chance.
That's a good duo, Mbappé and Dembele. Dembele.
Sounds like a singer.
Yeah, it's difficult to pronounce. On Tuesday, we know the first team in Wembley. On Wednesday, we will know the second one, Santiago Bernabeu. Real Madrid, Bayern Munich. Real Madrid with another trophy in the trophy room, La Liga title. They beat Cádiz 3-0. Barcelona lost in Girona, but the team didn't want to party. They are fully focused in this game. They won La Liga on Saturday. On Sunday morning, they were already in the training camp. Ancelotti kept most of the players away from the pitch. Only Carvajal was starting, Camavinga, and we saw Bellingham or Vinicius just 10 minutes. Bayern Munich, on the other hand, they lost, and we saw some players in the pitch like Harry Kane. We saw Guerreiro getting injured, Dyer also leaving the pitch. But the bookies, as we can see, if we are betting on 1x2, Real Madrid are favorites. We can imagine this, but the odds are high, I would say, are good if you back Real Madrid. Most of the people, Alvaro, said in the first leg that Bayern played their best. Real Madrid was below their level. At the end, Real Madrid got a very good result at the Allianz, a draw, so they should finish the job in Madrid. Do you agree with this analysis?
Well, yeah, Real Madrid competed very well again, and I would say that Bayern, in their own way, they were competitive as well. But I do believe that after watching that game, I still believe that Real Madrid is better than Bayern. Even though I like what Bayern did, I like Thomas Tuchel's approach in the second half, just removing Goretzka to include Guerreiro on the pitch. When I saw that, I thought Bayern is going to split in two pieces because Goretzka offers the physicality. Goretzka is a midfielder that has a lot of presence, whereas Guerreiro is a different kind of player. He has played as a left back, as a winger, but the change did wonders to Bayern. Also, removing Sané from the left to play him on the right, and then him scoring from the right, leaving behind Ferland Mendy, a footballer that was more vulnerable than normal at the Allianz the other day. So I think that what Bayern did and what Tuchel did the other day was kind of all right. They are still alive for the second leg. That's fine. But let's don't forget a couple of things that are important. Bayern, they are without a victory in 7 away games against Real Madrid. The last time they won at Santiago Bernabeu was in 2001, when Bayern ended up winning the Champions League. And number 2, Real Madrid has won all but one of their 24 previous UEFA Club competition ties in which they have drawn the first leg away. So this is important. The last time Real Madrid drew away in Europe and then lost at home, the tie was against Shakhtar Moscow. These are some, data that the UEFA is providing us, and they are interesting, definitely. It tells you that Real Madrid tends to do the job at home in the second leg, okay? Especially if they draw or if they win away in the first leg. I am very curious about Real Madrid's approach. This is very interesting for me. How much they will try to dominate, because some of the best in Real Madrid this season has been a Real Madrid that goes on the break, not necessarily dominating. For example, at the Allianz, we saw that Vinicius, Bellingham, and Rodrigo were totally devoid of defensive responsibilities. And they ran less than Bayern, despite having less possession, because they defend very together. They don't do man marking, for example, or anything like that. They just defend positionally very well. And I want to see what the approach of Real Madrid is. But still, I believe that they are better. I believe that a player like Vinicius can destroy them. Vinicius to score, by the way, 2.3. I really like this one. Or Vinicius to score or assist, even. It will be 1.8. I really like the individual market for Vinicius, a footballer who has scored more than 20 goals this season, again, for the third season straight. And let's don't forget that this campaign, he's been injured for 2 months. And, when it comes to Bayern, I think that their midfield can get a little bit light against Real Madrid. And sometimes you can see that, and Harry Kane drops to help. But there is an irony in all this. When Harry Kane drops down to help the midfielders, and if he gets back the ball, there is no one up front to pass the ball to the point that Harry Kane the other day, he tried to score against Lunin from the halfway line. Do you remember that one?
Yeah.
Yes.
So, I think that this is something that Bayern should be looking at, like becoming a third or a fourth midfielder, if after that, when we regain the ball, there is no one in the box. So, plenty of things to see, but this game is really, really good. I love it, really. I'm going to go for Real Madrid to win, 189, and Vinicius to score or assist.
One thing that we learned from the first leg, we already knew, I think, is that these teams can score even without playing great. I think Real Madrid hit them when Bayern was better, and Bayern hit back when they were in the lowest point of the game, even scored twice, so they don't need to play a great game to inflict some pain to the rival. Someone is saying that they don't see Bayern getting thrashed. To be honest, me neither, and that's why perhaps even going for an Asian handicap for Bayern Munich, Dani, a close game, a draw, a tight win for Real Madrid could be an option, in my opinion, or perhaps it's because I'm very nervous and I don't trust Bayern Munich at all. I respect them too much.
There is an element of that, of you being a Madridista, but we get into a moment. Look, if this game is based on form, on season form, there'll be no context, okay? But Real Madrid have dominated the league, only one defeat this season. Bayern, they might not even finish second, they might finish behind Stuttgart. But as I mentioned before, at this stage of the season, the form counts almost for nothing. It's more the state of mind, is the physical condition, is the athletic condition, and this team seems to be pretty much on the same level, although I would imagine Real Madrid will be slightly more confident. Look, Bayern are going through a mini revolution. They don't know who the next manager might be. There are even rumors perhaps Tuchel could continue. It's just very complicated them. But it's not the first time they went through that. And if you believe in, silver linings or recurrence, in 2013, Jupp Heynckes was kicked out of the door on his way to win the treble. And guess when the final was? In Wembley. And they replaced him with Pep. So it's not a given that a team in turmoil underperforms. In the first leg, they were condemned by a couple of mistakes by Kim, which was sold as a phenomenon, as a great defender by Napoli. I think Napoli make a great piece of business in selling him for that amount of money. He's a good defender, don't get me wrong, I don't think he's a bad defender, but he did show some limits, sometimes pushing the line high. It's a bit of a mistake. You can do it in a league where the pace is a bit slower. On the other hand, there is a question, and maybe it's for another video. Having a mid-season tournament like the Africa Cup of Nations and the Asian Cup, I think takes out something of players. Look at how Salah and Son had not been the same after January, and the same could be said for Kim. I think the performances have dropped down a little bit, but overall, Alvaro.
No, I'm saying that I read the article from the Athletic about that, but I think that the sample size has to be bigger than the big stars. You know what I mean, Dani? If we only count, or if we only look at Salah, Kim, and a couple of superstars like Son Heung-min, for example, and we try to make a conclusion out of the performance of 3-4 players, maybe that sample size is not enough. I was thinking that, but of course, the debate is phenomenal. The debate is phenomenal.
But I think the big stars are the one that change.
Look at Adingra yesterday, for example.
That's true. But the big stars are the one who change games. So you think anyway. But I think Tuchel.
Kim is not the star of Bayern Munich, by the way.
Well, he was both as one of them. But Tuchel was right before the game. He said Real Madrid can score, and you don't know they're gonna score 10 seconds before the goal is coming. Look at the pass from Cross as well. You just don't know where they're gonna score. But the best interpretation of the game I read about Real Madrid is that they win even when they don't win. It feels like they won in Munich, and they haven't. But everyone says, well, they done a perfect game. Perhaps they retracted to the defense a little bit too early. They basically replicated the game that they did at the Etihad, and this time the opposition scored a couple of times. But they know how to do it. Another stat that I found amazing, since 2010-2011, in the Champions League, they had fewer shots than their opponents 25 times and only lost 9 times, and they have outperformed the expected goals in 24 knockout games, which means they know how to do it. They know they have the knowledge. They don't need to dominate to win. But in the home ties, or in the entire Champions League ties this season, it goes with the following script. They only had one comfortable win, and Edu, correct me if I'm wrong, 3-0 against Braga. All the other games, they were pretty much tight. Maybe they score at the end against Napoli, against Union Berlin, against Leipzig. They probably deserve to concede a couple of more. But Bayern haven't been better. They lost 7 away games this season. Only 1 away clean sheet in the Champions League. 1-0 against Manchester United. Going to the odds, I got 2 tips, but the first one over 2.75 goals for me. 182 again. No great defenses in both sides.
Well, mentally, Real Madrid is so strong, as Genepi is telling us. A lot of experience. If you have a problem, no, instead of better call Sol, better call Toni Kroos, because he controlled the game when Real Madrid was suffering a lot in Munich. For me, was man of the match. Another piece of stat that I read is Tuchel never lost in Madrid against Real Madrid, and is the manager facing Real Madrid more times facing Real Madrid with no defeats. I think it's 4 times that Tuchel traveled to face Real Madrid, and his record is pretty good. Perhaps also the key could be, or in the first leg, was Sané and Musiala, so the wingers made a lot of pain to Real Madrid, but Lucas Vázquez is not there. He suffered especially. Now we are going to see Carvajal, and the whole Bayern defense, Dyer was better, of course, than Kim, but it looks like with Vinicius, Rodrigo, perhaps Bellingham in better form, they can suffer much more, because I don't know, Alvaro, I didn't trust also the whole line of Bayern Munich. And for instance, we saw them away suffering a lot in this Champions League. We mentioned it with Dortmund, but also Bayern lost against Lazio at the Olympico and drew against Arsenal, conceding so many chances.
Yeah, and I think that I totally agree, and I do believe that is one of the reasons why Thomas Tuchel has resorted to a more of a defensive left back than Alphonso Davies, like Mazraoui, because perhaps he wants to protect the defense a bit more with a defensive specialist, and rather than having Alphonso Davies, who is, I think that in a spirit, a winger. But yeah, Kim wasn't good the other day. Eric Dyer, surprisingly, has had a very good adaptation to the Bundesliga and to Bayern's system. I think that shouldn't go overlooked. But yeah, I don't totally trust the Bayern defense either. But there is a factor here that changes Bayern from last season to this one. It's the fact that they've got Harry Kane. Because last season, at the end of the day, they were playing with Eric Choupo-Moting up front, 15, 12 goals a season striker at best. And now they are playing with a beast. And having a player like Harry Kane also, I think that should make Real Madrid worry of the danger of Bayern, because he's the kind of player that when there is a penalty to take, he's most likely to score it. We remember the miss against France, but he has scored many penalties in his career. And, he's an expert footballer. He can give a torrid time to Rudiger and whoever plays alongside Rudiger, because for me, this is very important as well. Who's going to play? Is it going to be Nacho? I don't think so.
Yeah,
is it going to be Tchouaméni?
I think
Tchouaméni, maybe?
Tchouaméni.
No, I think it's going to be Nacho and Tchouaméni in the midfield.
Okay, well...
I think it's going to be the same lineup with Carvajal.
Okay, no, fair enough. But I still believe that Harry Kane is capable of giving some problem to Rudiger and Nacho as well. Eder Militao, by the way, played 90 minutes in the weekend, but he's not going to be chosen for this game.
No,
it's too early. It's too early, especially. He didn't play very well. And, when it comes to the defense, I had a debate with Daniele last week. I still believe that Real Madrid's defense is good if the game requires to be defensive. I think that it's a team that has recorded 21 clean sheets this season in 49 games. Those are good numbers, Dani. I believe that. I take your point.
How many in the Champions League? Only two in the Champions League. Three
in the Champions League. But the thing is that I could take that Real Madrid are not a good defense if they were losing or if they lost games, but they haven't lost. I think that they just did what the vibe of the game asked them to do. They don't go out in the game with the approach to defend, with the exception of the game at the Etihad. So 21 clean sheets in one season out of 49 games are the numbers of a decent defense, I would say. That's my take here. But of course, since they are going to attack against Bayern, they will leave the door open behind. But if they played like Juventus in 97, of course, they will be a better defense because they wouldn't care about scoring so much.
Well, Carvajal will be better than Lucas Vázquez, that is for sure. Lucas suffered a lot with, especially with Musiala, and perhaps it's Camavinga, the one playing in midfield. He had an impact when he came in at the Allianz, especially because he made a couple of tackles, 3 tackles, and sometimes you have to stop the game, make fouls. He's very intense, so perhaps he's the one playing in the midfield. And we see Tchouaméni and Rudiger in the midfield. If we check the goals market, over 3 goals is 2.06, under 1.92. So, of course, the bookies also expect goals after seeing the first leg. I think, Dani, you had another tip to share with us, or you already...
It's a very quick one. Real Madrid to win, 196. Just based on the odds. I think the odds are so good for a home win that you cannot underestimate them. I think the game is going to be tight. It's going to be balanced. You might end up in a draw as well. But consider that Bayern are always conceding the last 16 games against Real Madrid in the Champions League. Real Madrid have got the know-how. And their season has been extraordinary. You know, for a team that lacks a centre forward, and everyone said that, look at what they have achieved so far this season. Their adaptability, their interchangeability. The beginning of the season probably better than the tail end, but still won the league. Really, it was almost a no contest for them. So yeah, I think Real Madrid win 196.
And hats off with Vinicius Junior also. We have to highlight his first leg when Real Madrid was suffering. He scored the goal. He gave the assist to Rodrigo in the penalty. He converted the penalty, so he is, I was going to say he's becoming a superstar, but he's already
well, he is. Brazil number 10. I mean, it's just, he is a superstar.
I think that, I think the analysis of Vinicius in Spain is very polluted, I'm going to use that word, by the fact that every football analysis in Spain is done by the lens of Barcelona versus Real Madrid versus Barcelona. So sometimes the fans are a little bit too blind to be complementary with players that play for the team they don't like. But Vinicius has been excellent. I mean, I don't have a particular affiliation, and I tell you, I think that Vinicius for me sometimes is the best player in the world. And I really tell you, and I'm not a Real Madrid fan, and you know that, but his performances are there, and I would say even more, his performances in the Champions League knockouts are there. Because he has scored a lot of goals in big grounds. I remember him scoring at Anfield 3 years ago, him being so decisive at the Etihad, scoring goals as well. This season, he has scored one and produced another one at the Allianz. In the biggest scenarios, he's delivering. I don't want to compare him with Luis Suarez, but there was this narrative about Luis Suarez not scoring away from home in the Champions League in a tie. Do you remember? For 5 or 6 years. With Vinicius, for example, we haven't had that, and I'm not taking anything away from Luis Suarez. What I'm saying is that scoring away from home is difficult at the big grounds, and Vinicius is doing that. So there is a combination I like here, which is Asian handicap minus 0.25 for Real Madrid, and Vinicius to score or assist. That pays 275.
And how important could be the bench? For instance, we have Serge Gnabry or Kingsley Coman in Bayern bench to change a little bit the game. For Real Madrid, we have Brahim, who scored a great goal on Saturday. Camavinga, Modric. Perhaps there is a little bit more depth, Dani, in Real Madrid's bench.
Slightly more depth, I would say. So yes, with everyone fit, with even Courtois fit, which we're not gonna play, but maybe a shoe in for the final. Yeah, definitely more depth in Real Madrid bench. But as I said, it's about the mental approach and the fact Bayern, that we all thought were in crisis, they are not such in a deep crisis as we think. But of course, their problems, their defensive problems, the shape problems, the fact that, in certain games, I remember watching them play against Lazio at the first leg, they almost looked like they forgot how to play football. They looked lost, and they thought the game was won before even playing it. These things still remain, so that's why Real Madrid are rightly favourite in this tie.
Well, you see Real Madrid and PSG in the final. I have the idea that some German team is going to qualify.
Bayern Munich. Bayern Leverkusen in the next.
Are going to surprise us. If you are looking for the individual markets, Vinicius to score is the best one, I think, 2.4. Harry Kane to score is 2.75. Jude Bellingham, 2.6, for instance. And Rodrigo, 3. Rodrigo always very good in the Champions League ties. Scooby is asking what team Alvaro supports. It's very clear. It's an Athletic Bilbao fan. Sí. We all know him. Yeah, Pedro Lucas.
Sí. I love Barcelona when they play well, but that hasn't happened for a long time. Athletic de Bilbao, of course, yeah.
Of course, we have Dani Interista and Alvaro from supporting Athletic. Is there a safe bet in this semi-final? I don't think so, but perhaps Alvaro thinks there is. Tell me, Alvaro.
It's never safe, okay, because it's a Champions semi-final, but Paris Saint-Germain to win 150.
That's not very safe in my opinion. Dani?
But for me, it's similar. Paris Saint-Germain to score the first goal, a little bit less odds, well, 148.
Okay, and the Miniaca?
For me, it's two selections. Paris Saint-Germain, Asian handicap -1. Real Madrid, Asian handicap -1. Total odds, nice round number 5.
Okay, I would be happy if you are correct, Dani. Alvaro?
My one is a conservative derivation of Daniele Saka, which is Paris Saint-Germain to win, Real Madrid to win. Altogether, 283.
Yes.
We know that Alvaro follows Simeone's philosophy when it comes to
Always.
betting, so he goes with...
But the final is PSG Real Madrid. It's already scripted. Mbappe against his future team.
changing the
Florentino will
t-shirt
be-
at the end of the game.
Yeah,
no?
Florentino
Do you
will be
remember,
happy.
Do you remember Mario Götze? Mario Götze was playing for
Yes.
Dortmund,
Yes, in the final, yes.
but he was
And they
moving
lost.
to Bayern
And he
in that
was moving
final.
to
By the
Bayern.
way, he didn't play that final because he was suspended or injured. But same thing
Was
happened with Mario
suspended.
Götze.
Yes. It's happened before. So
It would be
yeah,
a good...
otherwise will be another German final, Bayern Munich, Dortmund. So another heartbreak for
Wembley.
Dortmund, because
Yeah, we've never seen Real Madrid playing a final at Wembley, by the
No,
way. It's
no,
the
no.
stadium of Barcelona's trophies. But
Yep.
let's see which teams we see in the final. Tell me, guys, of course, in the comment section, which teams do you think are going to play the great final at Wembley? Alvaro, Dani, thanks for your analysis. See you very soon, because now we are going to analyze Europa League and Conference. Bye-bye.
See you later. See you in a
Bye-bye.
bit.